Okay, it's good to be alive. Thank you for that introduction, and we are very happy and enjoying being on the lands of the Mi'kmaq peoples. We don't have a conflict of interest disclosure, but we have none to declare. And the work that we're presenting was funded initially by the Health Services Integration Fund, and then was further funded by CRISM around the sort of knowledge mobilization and transitioning to the next phase. So what our presentation will include is the context of the work that happened and what followed.
That's me. My name is Annie Picard, not Anna, Annie. I worked with the Innu Roundtable Secretariat for 8 years now, and like they mentioned before, a lot of my work revolves around health and finding gaps in our community. What are those gaps, and how do we help in those situations? So I am also responsible for, I'm a chair of our health committee, and I overlook other subcommittees under that. And just recently, I'm also an author. So I wrote a children's book, and it's available on Amazon.
So look up Annie Picard, and you'll see her book on Amazon. I'm not going to walk through this. I just want to highlight a few things. Part of it was in my introduction. I want to clarify that I am not Indigenous. I am Japanese and part white settler. And so just to highlight that I started working with Annie at the point where you see the owl when I was doing my PhD research. I was doing work in the area of FASD, but I didn't know what. And at that time, there's someone called Jack Panashwe, who the Innu members in this room would know very well, who knew that one of my children is Innu, and said, well, you're not going to be a fly-by-night researcher because we know where you live. And you are, obligated and committed to our community in raising one of our children for life. So our relationship was more than research. And to say that we've been working together for, I didn't count, but I think it's more than a decade now. Okay.
So here, I'm going to try to do this very quickly. Our communities, there's two Innu communities in Labrador, like mentioned. I live in Sheshatshiu, and there's Natwashish, which is a little bit more further north from us. Our communities have always been at this table with our federal and provincial partners. But at this health table, things were not working out really well because it kind of took over our partners kind of overtook these meetings, and there was no Innu voice, no Innu strong voices at this table. So which was called the Labrador Health Secretariat. So in 2012, our leaders, our chiefs and council and all that, they decided to step away from that table and said, this isn't working out for us, we need to do something different. So they left that table. But they went back to the federal government and said, it's not that we don't need the funding and we don't need you guys, it's just we need to be doing this for ourselves. And then in 2014, the funding was given over to the Innu, and they created the Innu Roundtable Secretariat. And it was through there our leaders have said we're going to be creating our own priorities. We know our communities, we know what we need in our communities, and we're going to do this ourselves. And so under that, they created 4 committees, and there's this health, justice and policing, income support, and child and youth. And it is under health that is where I work at. And in health, we created subcommittees. And I happened to overlook the FASD one, and this is where the work started coming from. And through that subcommittee, we created an action plan. So this is where we were at.
And I was invited to join some of the FASD working group meetings, but particularly in pulling together the recommendations moving forward. So each working group had to create an action plan, and we had 10 recommendations. And what we're talking about today was probably the biggest, the first and the most important, which was to develop an FASD prevention strategy that was community-wide. So we had a fairly, this is not even everyone that was there, but we had a very large group of people that gathered in 2020 to talk about the things that we were finding. We did incorporate some research into this, and we were sharing and discussing the findings, but also talking about what is included when we talk about FASD prevention. So I've gained weight since there. I don't know if you can still recognize me, but I'm in that picture, so is Annie. Okay. So one of the things that I just want to highlight for context in this room, in case this isn't an area that you've thought a lot about, but FASD prevention has been sort of broken down into different levels. Briefly, one is just widespread information for anyone at any age, anywhere. That would be level one. Level two is when you're providing all kinds of education or information for people who are sexually active and maybe using alcohol. Level three is for people who are pregnant and using alcohol. And level four is after they've had a baby to prevent future alcohol-exposed pregnancies. And that ultimately you need policy or some kinds of initiatives to do all of those things together. And so on the left is just a brief outline. They're not connected to the levels, but those are the things that we did that led to an FASD prevention strategy. So maybe I'll just highlight, we talked to people who might be doing any kind of FASD prevention. So we were thinking about all those levels. And so a lot of people said, I don't know why you're talking to me. I don't really do FASD prevention. But when we talked about what FASD prevention includes, it was an opportunity to highlight that they actually are without using that language, which is fine because FASD can be stigmatizing. And so we mapped all of the different kinds of supports that people are offering. And we learned from other communities, First Nations in particular in the Atlantic region, and all of this informed a strategy. And coming out of that, we developed a poster. It's a pretty long poster, and that's why you can't really see the words. So on the far left is the full poster, more or less. Cut a bit of the edge off. But I tried to zoom in on the right side for you to see that the sun is highlighting that supportive alcohol policy, which is also FASD prevention, includes all of those things, so that when people look at the poster, they're thinking broadly about what prevention can include. So this can be for community members, but also frontline service providers or managers. And then what you'll see on the right in the tree, we talked about breaking it down in different ways, and in the end, I think the FASD working group and other members would have weighed into this, but we went through sort of the life cycle. So you'll notice the lower part of the tree is any kind of FASD prevention that's including children, and then it goes to youth, adults, parents, but also includes mostly all generations. And what you'll see on the bottom is a list of all of the different programs and supports available in that particular community. So this is from Mushuau Innu First Nation, which is also not Washish on the map. And it includes the name of the place. So the circle there is like emergency placement home. It includes a few things of what they have to offer, but it also gives you the contact information. So anyone can go find where in the community, wherever they want to go to get supports or services. Did you want to say more about that? It's okay. We also created a series of posters that are in Innu that you'll see in the bold, and then it was decided there would be English in the red bubbles, and I think Annie's going to speak to these.
Yeah, so when we created these posters, we reached out to our community members about the people sending in their photos of their programs, what they're doing, and what's going on in program-wise. So I wanted to highlight that the one in the middle, these are our girls and women's. We take them into the land, and then we go on hikes, sometimes 4 days, sometimes 15 days. And this is an opportunity for the workers to be able to connect to the young people and to help them as they're navigating through the woods and also in life. So I just wanted to, a lot of our programs, especially in Natwashish, are land-based, and the young people really enjoy them.
And I just want to highlight, like, doing FASD prevention, and I think this could be applied to other substances, you want to be able to share messages that encourage healthy pregnancies, healthy living, healthy everything, but at the same time not stigmatize people who are using alcohol or maybe pregnant and using alcohol. So we try to use phrases that are sort of encouraging people to reach out or support each other even if they're not the person that's pregnant. So we have messages like, let's support drug and alcohol-free pregnancies. You're not alone, support is available. And at the bottom, which we didn't include in here, is like who is available to contact in your community.
And here is just quickly where the work that I do, these are the priorities for the work that I do. And when we finish the FASD work, I wanted to make sure that it is incorporated into those priorities too. So that was important for me, so they don't get lost as we continue with the work.
Yeah, there was a moment in time where we thought, let's develop an FASD prevention strategy at the whole community, but in reality, there was this framework being developed, and precisely what Annie was saying is just embedding it in the work that's already moving instead of having a separate initiative. Okay, so we were trying to be really brief because we were worried about the time. And so we kind of skipped over some parts, but we're happy to field comments and questions, and we do have some spare slides that we're not showing in case your questions lead to things that we can show you. Are there any comments or questions?
Thank you very much. Yeah. Yeah, so there are comments. Yes. No, I need to lose weight.
New weight loss strategies, running around conferences. That was an amazing presentation. Thank you so much. I'm really curious, you were saying you do a lot of land-based programming, and the one that you had in the poster was like more than 5 days? Or it seemed like it was, I'm just curious, like do you partner with the schools?
This
or
one
do you...
is probably about 10 days.
That's amazing.
The ladies that do this, they'll put out a call, and then the girls will sign up for it, and then we'll fly them into a remote place in the country, and then they'll walk back into the community. It just takes sometimes it takes a little longer, but.
Yeah, Annie went on this trip, but it's more than just the girls. Yeah, they pair them up with...
Video.
Oh,
The first slide.
the first slide?
Yeah.
Go back.
Yeah, to the first one. That one there.
Uh-huh.
That was when I went on it. The first walk that they did, I went with them, and it was really extraordinary. I found that when the girls were first started out, they were really shy and they didn't really want to get involved. But as we got walking, they started bridging those relationships with the workers. Yeah.
I actually had a question, if that's okay. Just your tree, the slide. I was really fascinated by the way that you had found all of the different ways that you could potentially share information And I just, so how, like, I'm just pointing one out, for instance, for the children, like baby showers. I thought that's really innovative. Like, I didn't think about that. And so, like, how do sometimes these conversations come up, or how would information get shared in some of these situations? Like, if you could talk about that, or if that's, I don't know if that's an appropriate question or not, so.
So some of the programs, they're always trying to think outside the box, right? And with the baby showers, we knew that a lot of our women in our community are really young, so they're struggling with different things like getting access to services and that. And then we thought it's really important that we celebrate our children, we celebrate the babies that are born. We have a really high birth rate in our community. So we wanted to let our young people, our young mothers know that they are being celebrated, and that, so when we started having those conversations, that's when people said, well, let's have a baby shower. So that's what we did. And we gave them gifts, like some traditional medicine we included in that, and we also included things that they would need for the new babies.
That's great. Okay, well, thank you very much, and we'll go to the next presentation, so thank you.